Jake Carter sat in front of his computer screen in Tesla's Fremont, California office. His eyes bloodshot, dark circles carved deep beneath them. It was nearly midnight, but time had lost all meaning to him. 3 days, or maybe 4, he couldn't quite recall. He'd been working non-stop to perfect the emergency obstacle response system for Tesla's latest self-driving update. To Jake, it wasn't just a job, it was a mission. Tesla, under Elon Musk's leadership, was a place of bold ideas and unrelenting pressure. Electric cars, massive batteries, and self-driving systems were built on the sacrifices of engineers like Jake. Here, impossible was just a challenge to overcome, often by pushing yourself to the brink of exhaustion. Jake knew that when he joined the company 8 months ago, bringing experience from a small computer vision startup. Tesla was a different beast, a place where the culture celebrated those who clocked 100-hour weeks. He'd heard the stories of Elon sleeping on the factory floor, of late-night emails pushing employees to their limits, and he'd bought into it for the sake of a bigger dream. But dreams come at a cost. Jake's apartment had become little more than a pit stop for showers and a change of clothes. Energy bars, coffee, and Red Bull had replaced real meals. Friends outside Tesla warned him, "You're killing yourself, Jake." He'd flash a weak smile. "I'm fine. This is Tesla." But deep down, he knew they weren't entirely wrong. His body was worn out, yet he couldn't stop. Jake's project, the Emergency Obstacle Response System, was designed to help self-driving cars dodge unexpected hazards in any condition. For him, it was personal. Years ago, his best friend Daniel Hayes lost his life in a car crash on a foggy highway. A broken-down truck sat in the middle of the road, no warning lights, and Daniel didn't have a chance to swerve. If his car had been smarter, he might still be here, Jake had told himself ever since. That memory drove him to turn pain into purpose. Every line of code was a step toward making sure no one else suffered the way he had. Jake's team, led by Sophie Evans, faced a brutal deadline. Elon wants it ready for testing by the weekend, Ethan Brooks, his buddy at Tesla, said over the internal phone line. "Of course he does," Jake replied, gripping an energy drink. "That's why I haven't been home in 3 weeks." Ethan's voice grew tense. "You're about to crash, man." Jake shook his head. "I can't stop. If this system fails, someone could die." He couldn't bear repeating the agony of losing Daniel. Hey, if Jake's story is hitting home for you, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more tales of grit and inspiration, just like this one. The office was nearly empty by 11:45 p.m., just a handful of engineers still plugging away. Jake Carter typed furiously, his hands trembling, his vision blurring. "Almost done," he muttered over the phone to Ethan. "You need to rest," Ethan urged, his voice tinged with concern. "I'm fine," Jake replied weakly. He stood up, legs stiff, and shuffled to the vending machine for a bottle of water. Peering out the window, he saw Fremont glowing bright. Tesla never slept. He turned back, but his body rebelled. His head spun, his legs buckled. When the clock struck 11:45 p.m., Jake collapsed into his chair, head lolling against the wall, the water bottle rolling across the floor. His breathing grew heavy. For the first time in 72 hours, he slipped into sleep. 72 relentless hours fueled by energy drinks and sheer willpower, ignoring every warning, had brought him to this breaking point. But the story didn't end there. As Jake slumped over, he had no idea that those 72 hours, a grueling battle with code, himself and Tesla, would change everything. At precisely 11:45 p.m. in Tesla's Fremont, California office, Jake Carter finally gave out. He just dragged himself back from the vending machine in the corner, clutching an unopened bottle of cold water, but his shaking legs couldn't carry him another step. He crashed into his swivel chair at the desk, head thumping against the plain white wall behind him, eyes shutting tight in unwilling surrender after 72 sleepless hours. His breaths came heavy and uneven, each one a struggle to stay conscious, a fight he'd lost. The office was quiet, save for the steady hum of servers in the far corner and the faint shadows of a few engineers still hunched over their screens under the cold blue glow of computer monitors. The internal phone on Jake's desk buzzed, Ethan Brooks' voice crackling through the speaker with a mix of worry and frustration. "Jake, "You okay? The meeting's at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You've got to rest, man. Stop pushing." But Jake didn't answer. He didn't hear the buzz, didn't feel the desk vibrate, didn't notice the water bottle slipping from his grasp and clattering to the floor with a soft thud. His body had hit its limit, and this moment, crashing amid scattered papers, empty energy drink cans, and a still-lit laptop screen, marked the peak of 72 hours of unrelenting struggle. Just minutes earlier, Jake had staggered back to his desk after running the final test on the emergency obstacle response system, a critical piece of Tesla's latest self-driving update. "Almost there," he'd rasped to himself, his voice so hoarse he barely recognized it. He'd planned to sit down, check the results one last time, and email a report to Sophie Evans, his team lead, before maybe stealing a few minutes of shut-eye. But his body had other plans. His vision blurred, his mind reeled like it was caught in a whirlwind, and before he could process it, his knees gave way. He slumped into the chair, head against the wall in an awkward slump, arms dangling. Everything faded to black, and sleep, the one thing he'd denied himself for so long, finally claimed him, whether he liked it or not. To reach this point, Jake had survived 72 hours without rest, powered only by energy drinks, coffee, and an iron will, shrugging off every plea from friends and coworkers. It all started 3 days ago, or maybe 4, his memory fogged by endless, unbroken days. It was a fight against himself, against intricate lines of code, and against Tesla's unforgiving culture, a place where innovation demanded sacrifices beyond what most could fathom. To understand why Jake pushed himself this far, we have to go back 3 days, when the fire inside him blazed hotter than ever, when he decided nothing would stop him from finishing this system. Not exhaustion, not time, and certainly not anyone's advice. 3 days ago, or maybe 4, Jake couldn't keep track anymore. He'd walked into the Tesla office with a mix of fatigue and burning resolve. It was a Monday morning, or maybe Sunday. He wasn't sure. His internal clock had been scrambled after 8 months here, a place where day and night blurred into one endless stretch, where every hour was a chance to turn ideas into reality. Jake had joined Tesla 8 months earlier with a dream of changing the world, armed with 2 years of experience from a small computer vision startup. Back then, he'd been a young engineer with bright eyes, thrilled at the thought of writing code that could shape the future of transportation, the future of humanity. But Tesla wasn't like anywhere he'd worked before. Under Elon Musk's lead, it was a relentless innovation machine, where electric cars gliding down streets and self-driving systems promising a safer world were forged from the sweat, grit, and sometimes the burnout of people like Jake. That morning, Jake sat through a team meeting in a cramped conference room where Sophie Evans, his team lead, stood before a whiteboard with a voice both stern and dedicated. "Elon wants the self-driving update ready for testing by the weekend," she said, her sharp gaze sweeping over the 7 engineers around the table, each face a mix of tension and weariness. "The emergency obstacle response system is top priority. We can't afford delays or mistakes. This is life or death stuff." Jake sat in the corner, clutching a coffee gone cold half an hour ago, nodding slightly. He understood the stakes more than anyone. Tesla wasn't a place for the faint-hearted or the half-committed. The culture here celebrated those who'd grind out 100-hour weeks, where tales of Elon Musk crashing on the factory floor during production crunches weren't just legends, they were the bar everyone aimed for, a source of inspiration and a weight pressing down on their shoulders. Jake had bought into it from the day he walked through the door, but he hadn't realized just how steep the cost would be. After the meeting, Jake Carter returned to his desk in the west corner of the Tesla office. A tight little space with a simple wooden desk, an open laptop, and a stack of notepads scribbled with jagged notes about algorithms. He fired up the laptop, took a deep breath, and dove into checking the emergency obstacle response system, a feature he believed could save thousands of lives every year. It was built to help self-driving cars spot and dodge sudden hazards on the road, from fallen branches in a storm to stalled trucks blocking the highway with no warning lights. The system demanded a complex mashup of deep learning algorithms, radar and camera data, and split-second reaction times. A technical puzzle that'd give even the sharpest engineers a headache. But that morning when Jake ran the day's first simulation, He spotted a critical flaw. In low visibility conditions, like fog or heavy rain, the system sometimes didn't react fast enough to sudden obstacles. The simulated car slammed into the barrier, and the screen flashed a stark red message: test failed. That glitch wasn't just a minor bug to fix. For Jake, it was a vivid memory, a wound that never healed, the memory of his best friend, Daniel Hayes. Years back, when Jake was still in college, Daniel had lost his life in a car crash on a fog-choked stretch of highway outside town. A broken-down truck sat smack in the middle of the road, no warning lights, no signs to alert drivers behind. Daniel, heading home after a late-night shift, didn't see it through the thick white haze. His car plowed into the truck, and he was gone on impact, leaving Jake with a silent ache and a nagging question that wouldn't quit. If his car had been smarter, if it could have dodged that obstacle, would things have turned out different? That moment changed Jake forever. It pushed him into engineering, brought him to Tesla, and now it was the blazing fire inside him as he stared at the error on his screen. He couldn't let this system fail. He couldn't let anyone else suffer the loss he'd endured. Jake took a deep breath, set his cold coffee on the desk, and started digging into the code. He dissected every line, every function, every variable, hunting for the reason the system lagged in fog. He ran dozens more simulations, tweaking parameters, testing different algorithms to boost the sensor sensitivity. Hours flew by, and before he knew it, the light outside the window shifted from the fiery orange of sunset to the deep black of night. One by one, his teammates stood up, packed their bags, and headed home to their families, or at least to catch a few hours of sleep. But Jake didn't budge. He reached into his desk drawer, grabbed an energy drink, his first of the day, and popped the tab. He took a big gulp, the bittersweet sting sliding down his throat, giving him a fleeting jolt of energy. Just need to fix this, he told himself, eyes locked on the screen, fingers picking up speed on the keyboard. The first night slipped away to the steady tap of keys, the laptop's blue glow, the only light in the empty expanse of Tesla's office. As the sun rose, its first rays creeping through the office's big windows, Jake was still there, eyes red from lack of sleep, hands relentless on the keyboard. He didn't go home. Instead, he stood up, legs stiff from hours of sitting, and shuffled to the office bathroom. He turned on the cold tap, splashed water on his face to chase off the sleep tugging at him, and caught his reflection in the mirror. A pale version of himself with messy hair, deeper bags under his eyes, and a tired but defiant stare. He grabbed a clean shirt from the spare bag in his drawer, a habit he'd picked up after a few months at Tesla, swapped it for the wrinkled one he'd worn since yesterday, and headed back to his desk. No time to go home, no time to rest. The bug in the system was still there, and he had to squash it before the weekend deadline closed in. Sophie Evans swung by his desk around noon, a fresh cup of hot coffee in hand. She stopped, eyeing him with a mix of worry and a hint of scolding. "You've been here all night, haven't you, Jake?" she asked, her voice carrying the care of a team lead, but edged with firmness. "How's it going?" Jake looked up, blinking a few times to focus on her face. "I'm tracking down the fog simulation bug," he croaked, throat dry from dehydration and exhaustion. "It's almost there." Sophie frowned, setting an energy bar on his desk. "Eat something, Jake. You can't live off energy drinks and coffee forever. You've got to keep your strength up for this project." He nodded, mumbling, "Thanks," but didn't touch the bar. He wasn't hungry, or rather, he wouldn't let himself feel it. All he wanted was to fix the bug, perfect the system, and make damn sure it wouldn't fail like Daniel's car had. By midday, after hours of analyzing and testing, Jake finally pinned down the glitch. A hitch in how the system processed radar data when visibility tanked in fog or heavy rain. The current algorithm wasn't sharp enough to catch obstacles at close range, and the car's reaction lagged by a few deadly fractions of a second, enough to turn a close call into a catastrophe. He started rewriting a chunk of the algorithm, fine-tuning the sensor sensitivity, and testing it step by step in fresh simulations. First run, the virtual car crashed. He adjusted, ran it again. Still a bust. He gritted his teeth, kept typing, ran a third test. Close, but it grazed the obstacle. He didn't give up. He tweaked more lines, hammered out another dozen simulations, scribbling results on a sheet next to his desk with meticulous care. But his body started fighting back harder. His eyes stung, forcing him to blink constantly just to keep the screen in focus. His hands trembled faintly on the keys, sometimes hitting the wrong ones and making him backspace in frustration. A dull headache throbbed, like someone tapping a hammer against his temples. He stood up, dragging himself to the vending machine in the corner with lead-heavy legs, and grabbed another energy drink, his third of the day. He cracked it open, took a big swig, hoping the caffeine would spark him back to life. But its kick was fading fast, and he could feel exhaustion seeping into every muscle, every breath. He shook his head, muttering to himself, "It's fine. Just get through tonight." Then slumped back into his chair and kept typing. Ethan Brooks buzzed him over the internal phone around late afternoon, his voice sharper with concern. "Jake, how you holding up?" "I just talked to Sophie. She says you haven't been home since yesterday. What's the progress?" Jake sighed, his voice raspy. "I'm good, Ethan. I found the glitch in the emergency response system. I'm fixing it now." "You need to rest," Ethan pressed, dead serious. "When's the last time you slept?" Jake paused, trying to sift through the haze of exhaustion. "Saturday, I think," he said. "Caught a few hours before coming back." "It's Wednesday now," Ethan shot back, a mix of shock and worry in his tone. "You can't keep this up, Jake. You're gonna crash." Jake let out a dry, hollow chuckle. "I've got to, Ethan. If this system fails, someone could die. Like Daniel. I'm not letting that happen again." Ethan went quiet for a beat, then sighed over the line. "Just be careful, okay? Don't push yourself too far." But Jake didn't listen. He kept typing, each keystroke heavier than the last, refusing to stop. He couldn't stop. The second night rolled in, and the office emptied out again. The other engineers had gone home, leaving Jake Carter alone in the sprawling space, with only the clack of his typing and the low hum of the servers keeping him company. The blue glow from his laptop screen washed over his pale face, throwing the deepening bags under his eyes into sharp relief. He ran another simulation, and this time, the self-driving car dodged the obstacle in the fog. A small win, but not enough to satisfy him. He tweaked a few more lines of code, popped open another energy drink from his stash, and took a swig. His headache pounded harder, like someone drilling into his skull, but he muttered to himself, "Just a bit more. Just tonight." The night blurred past in a haze, and Jake stayed put, battling the code, the sleep tugging at him, and his own limits. By the third day, or maybe the fourth, he'd stopped counting. Jake slipped into an almost surreal state. His body was so wrecked that every move took a Herculean effort, but his mind clung to the task with a near-mad stubbornness. He'd fixed the main glitch in the emergency obstacle response system, but he couldn't stop there. He had to run dozens more simulations to make sure it worked flawlessly in every scenario. Thick fog, torrential rain, pitch-black night, or any wild curveball he could dream up. No loopholes, no slip-ups. He wouldn't allow it. Each simulation brought Daniel's face flashing into his mind. The warm grin when they'd shoot hoops in high school, the deep voice swapping dreams about the future, and then the moment he was gone forever on that icy highway. Jake couldn't fail. He had to make the system perfect. For Daniel, for strangers out there he'd never meet but who might live because of his work. His body, though, was done cooperating. His eyes blurred, squinting to make out the tiny text on the screen. His hands shook harder, fumbling keys and forcing him to backspace in frustration. His head throbbed, the dull ache exploding into fierce pulses, like a hammer slamming his temples without mercy. He hauled himself up, legs heavy as lead, and shuffled to the vending machine again, grabbing a cold water bottle this time. His energy drink stash had run dry the night before. He gripped the bottle, the cool plastic chilling his palm, and glanced out the office's big window. The Fremont complex blazed under the night sky, production and testing buildings churning nonstop. Tesla never slept, and Jake felt like he couldn't either. He had to keep going, had to finish. Back at his desk, he set the water beside the keyboard, trying to sit up straight and focus. But his body rebelled louder than ever. Every keystroke made his hands tremble so bad he had to pause, sucking in deep breaths to steady them. His eyes stung, tears welling up from sheer exhaustion, and he swiped them away with his sleeve to keep the screen in view. His head spun, the world tilting around him like a bad carnival ride. Just one last test, he told himself. Send the results to Sophie, then I'll rest. But he knew it was a lie. He couldn't rest. Not when the system wasn't perfect. Not when Daniel's ghost lingered every time he closed his eyes. That morning, the office slowly buzzed back to life as co-workers trickled in. Fresh faces and clean clothes filled the space, while Jake sat there in the same wrinkled shirt from 2 days ago, hair a mess, face pale as a ghost. Sophie emailed at 8 a.m., subject line blunt. Progress? Jake typed back with shaky hands. Almost done. Running final test. Ready for 9 a.m. meeting. But deep down, he knew he couldn't present like this. He could barely stand, let alone speak coherently. All he could do was keep typing, staring at the screen. Ethan buzzed him at 8:30, voice thick with worry. Jake, you're still there? Sophie's asking about you. She's freaking out. How's it going? I'm fine, Jake croaked, so faint he could hardly hear himself. Just need to wrap up this last test. When the clock hit 11:45 p.m., Jake was still at it, racing to finish the final test for Sophie before the morning meeting. He ran the 30th simulation of the day, and this time, the self-driving car dodged the obstacle in dense fog with a safe margin. A big leap, a sign the system was finally working like he'd hoped. Done, he whispered, a flicker of relief cutting through his weary mind. He hammered out a quick email to Sophie. Test passed in fog. Results attached. Will present tomorrow. He hit send, and for a rare second, he let himself smile. A faint, drained grin, but brimming with pride. He'd done it. He'd kept his promise to Daniel. If Jake's grit and triumph are lighting a spark in you, hit like and subscribe to our channel for more stories of grit that'll keep you coming back for more. But Jake Carter's body couldn't take it anymore. He stood up, aiming to grab the cold water bottle he'd bought earlier for a quick sip, hoping it'd jolt him awake long enough to double-check his email before calling it a night. But his trembling legs wouldn't hold him up another step. He shuffled toward the vending machine in the corner, hands shaky as he punched the button for another bottle, clutching it tight like it was his last lifeline. He turned back, but before he could make it to his desk, his head spun harder than ever. The world seemed to tilt, like the floor was caving under him. He reached for the chair to steady himself, but it was too late. He crashed back into it, head thudding against the wall, arms dangling limp. The bottle slipped from his grip, rolling across the floor with a soft clack, and his eyes shut tight. Ethan Brooks buzzed him over the internal line right then, his worried voice cutting through the quiet. Jake, you good? I saw you just emailed Sophie. You need to rest. Now. But Jake didn't hear it. He didn't catch the phone's ring, didn't hear Ethan's plea, didn't know the water bottle had rolled to a stop by a pile of empty energy drink cans he'd downed over 3 days. 72 hours without a break, fueled by nothing but Red Bull, coffee, and sheer grit, ignoring every warning from friends and coworkers, had dragged him to this edge. He sank into a deep sleep, the first in 3 days, or maybe 4, oblivious that this collapse in Tesla's Fremont office would spark a massive shift, not just for him, but for the company he'd poured everything into. When the clock hit 11:45 p.m. at Tesla's Fremont, California office, Jake Carter slumped into his chair, head against the wall, the cold water bottle clattering across the floor. He just wrapped the final test for the emergency obstacle response system and fired off a report to Sophie Evans, only for his body to give out after 72 sleepless hours. His breathing came heavy and uneven, eyes clamped shut in a sleep he couldn't fight off anymore. The office was nearly deserted, just a few engineers still grinding under the screen's blue glow, the servers humming like a steady pulse in the stillness. Ethan Brooks, Jake's buddy at Tesla, called over the internal line the second he saw Jake's email go through. Jake, you okay? His voice crackled over the speaker, laced with alarm and disbelief. I just saw you sent the results to Sophie. You gotta rest now. But there was no reply. The phone rang a few more times, its sharp chimes slicing through the hush. But Jake didn't stir. He didn't hear a thing, didn't feel a thing. His body had shut down completely in this moment. Collapsing after 3 relentless days wasn't just the end of his marathon. It was the start of something that had rippled far beyond him. Ethan, stationed a few desks away, sensed trouble. He hung up, stood, and hurried across the wide-open office, his sneakers tapping lightly on the tiled floor. When he reached Jake's desk, he froze, seeing his friend slumped in the chair, head tilted aside, arms hanging loose. "Jake?" Ethan called, voice low but urgent. He leaned down, gave Jake's shoulder a gentle shake. "Hey, wake up, man. You can't crash here like this." No response. Jake's breaths were steady but slow, locked in a sleep nothing could break. Ethan frowned, shaking harder. "Jake, come on! The meeting's tomorrow morning." Still nothing. Ethan straightened up, scanning the office for help. Only 3 other engineers were left, huddled at the far end, headphones on, lost in their own screens, oblivious to the scene unfolding. He sighed, turning back to Jake, realizing this wasn't just tiredness. Jake had passed out cold from pure exhaustion. The sprawl of empty energy drink cans around the desk, the water bottle on the floor, and the laptop still glowing with the sent email painted the picture of 72 grueling hours. "You're a damn fool," Ethan muttered, but his tone was thick with worry, not blame. He couldn't leave Jake like that. Ethan darted back to his desk, snatched the internal phone, and dialed Sophie Evans, their team lead. It was late, but he knew Sophie often checked emails at odd hours, especially with Elon Musk's weekend deadline looming. After a few rings, her voice came through, weary but sharp. "Ethan? What's up? It's almost midnight." "Sophie, it's Jake," Ethan said fast. "He just sent you the test results, but he's out cold at his desk. I've tried waking him. Nothing's working." A pause hung on the line. Then Sophie's voice tightened. "What? Jake's out? You sure?" "Dead sure," Ethan replied. "He's slumped in his chair, not moving. I think he's burned out. He's been here at least 3 days straight." Sophie let out a sharp sigh, frustration mixing with concern. "I told him to rest. I knew he was stubborn, but not this bad. I'm coming in now." She hung up and Ethan swung back to Jake's desk, pulling up a chair to keep watch until she got there. 10 minutes later, Sophie burst into the office, moving fast. She wore a light jacket, hair tied up high, her face etched with fatigue, but her eyes blazing with worry. She beelined for Jake's desk, halting when she saw him collapsed in the chair, head against the wall, arms limp. "God damn it, Jake," she whispered, bending to check him. She shook his shoulder, soft at first, then harder. "Jake, wake up. You can't stay like this." No reaction. His breathing stayed even but deep, like he'd sunk into a place no call could reach. Sophie spun to Ethan, voice sharp. "How long's he been like this?" "Not sure," Ethan said, rising from his seat. "I called him right after the email went out, around 11:45, but I don't know when he went down, maybe a few minutes before." Sophie scowled, eyeing the litter of energy drink cans and the stray water bottle. 3 days without sleep," she muttered. "I told him to go home yesterday. He wouldn't listen. I should have dragged him out of here." Ethan shook his head. "Not your fault, Sophie. Jake's too bullheaded. He said he couldn't stop. Said the system was about lives because of Daniel." Sophie nodded slowly, her gaze softening at the mention of that name. She knew the story of Daniel Hayes, Jake Carter's best friend who died in a car crash years ago. Jake rarely brought it up, but every time he talked about the emergency obstacle response system, she saw the fire in his eyes, a determination nothing could snuff out. Now, though, that fire had burned him down to this, a lifeless body slumped in the middle of Tesla's Fremont office after 72 sleepless hours. Sophie straightened up, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "We've got to do something," she told Ethan Brooks. "We can't leave him here all night. The meeting's at 9 a.m., and he's supposed to present the results." Ethan nodded, but his voice carried doubt. "I don't think he'll wake up in time, Sophie. I've shaken him a dozen times. Nothing works." Sophie frowned, bending down to jostle Jake again, harder this time. "Jake, wake up! That's an order!" But Jake didn't budge, his breathing steady, his pale face blank and unresponsive. Ethan glanced around and spotted another engineer, Chloe Harper, working at the far end. He waved her over. Chloe pulled off her headphones, strolling up with a curious look. "What's going on?" she asked, then froze when she saw Jake slumped in the chair. "Holy crap! What's wrong with Jake?" "He's out cold," Ethan explained. 3 days, no sleep. We can't wake him." Chloe furrowed her brow, leaning in close to pat Jake's cheek lightly. "Jake, come on, wake up. You can't crash here." "Nothing." She turned to Sophie. "He's totally fried. I've never seen anyone this far gone." Sophie nodded, her voice tight with worry. "Me neither. I've seen him pull late nights, but not like this." Ethan chimed in. "He sent the test results right before he went down. The system's working, but I think he's pushed past his limit." Chloe eyed the pile of empty energy drink cans and the stray water bottle, shaking her head. 3 days on this stuff? No one can handle that. Sophie sighed. "I know. I should have paid closer attention. But what now? We need him for the meeting." Ethan suggested, "How about we move him to the break room? There's a couch there. At least he'd be more comfortable." Sophie agreed. "Good call, but I'll try waking him one more time." She grabbed the water bottle from the floor, popped the cap, and trickled a little onto Jake's hand, hoping the chill would snap him out of it. No dice. She slapped his cheek harder, raising her voice. "Jake! Get up now!" Still nothing. Ethan shook his head. "It's no use, Sophie. He's not coming around." Chloe darted to the nearest desk, calling over another engineer, Ryan Patel, for backup. Ryan yanked off his headphones, ambling over with a sleepy squint. "What's up?" he asked, then stopped short when he saw Jake. "Whoa, what's with Jake?" "Burnout," Chloe said curtly. 3 days, no sleep. We can't rouse him." Ryan crouched down, checking Jake's breathing. "He's alive, but it's deep, like his whole system's shut off." He shook Jake's shoulder, barking, "Jake, wake up, man! Don't scare us like this." No movement. Sophie stood tall, hands on hips, voice taut. "All right, we can't leave him like this. Ethan, help me get him to the break room. Chloe, Ryan, pull his files together for the morning meeting, just in case he doesn't come to." Ethan nodded, stepping up to hoist one of Jake's shoulders while Sophie took the other. Jake felt like dead weight in their grip, his body limp as a rag doll. They dragged him across the office, steps slow to keep him from toppling. Chloe and Ryan watched, eyes wide with a mix of worry and disbelief. They reached the break room, a small space with a couch and soft lighting, and Ethan and Sophie eased Jake onto it, propping him up to rest easier. He stayed out, breath steady but sluggish. Sophie draped a jacket over him, muttering, "You're such an idiot, Jake." "I told you to rest." Ethan stood nearby, hands in pockets, voice low. "He did it for Daniel." "I can't blame him." Sophie nodded, her gaze softening. "I know. But what now? We need him tomorrow." They lingered there a moment, staring at Jake passed out on the couch, unsure what to do next. 72 hours without sleep had taken him down, and despite their best efforts, they couldn't pull him back. This wasn't just Jake's collapse. It was a signal of something bigger, a shift quietly brewing deep within Tesla. When the first light of dawn crept through the windows of Tesla's Fremont office, Jake Carter still lay motionless on the break room couch. Over 9 hours had passed since he'd crashed into his chair at 11:45 p.m., after 72 grueling hours perfecting the emergency obstacle response system. His breathing was even but slow, his face ghostly pale with dark circles etched beneath his eyes. Sophie Evans' jacket draped over him, slightly askew from the night. He had no clue his team had tried and failed to wake him, no idea they'd hauled him in here to shield him from the early bird stares. Jake was lost in a deep sleep, his body reclaiming what he'd denied it for too long, untouched by the morning bustle stirring outside. Sophie stood just outside the break room at 8:30 a.m., clutching a steaming coffee, her worried eyes scanning Jake. She'd come in early, clinging to a slim hope he'd be up before the 9 a.m. meeting, where he was supposed to present the system's test results. But when she stepped inside and saw him still out cold, her heart sank. Ethan Brooks stood beside her, hands stuffed in his pockets, voice hushed but helpless. "I tried shaking him at 8. Nothing. He's still gone." Sophie sighed, setting her coffee on the small break room table. "I didn't think he'd run himself this ragged," she said, a note of self-blame creeping in. I've seen him work late, but I never figured it'd get this bad. Ethan Brooks nodded, staring at Jake Carter sprawled there like a living statue. He sent the results email right before he went down. The system's working, but the price he paid was steep. Sophie Evans flipped open the laptop on the break room table, pulling up Jake's email from 11:45 p.m. last night. She skimmed the terse message, "Test passed in fog. Results attached. Will present tomorrow." Attached was a simulation data file showing the self-driving car dodging obstacles with pinpoint accuracy. "He pulled it off," Sophie muttered, her eyes softening with pride. But then she frowned. "But now what? The 9 a.m. meeting needs him. I can't present this. I don't fully grasp the details he worked out." Chloe Harper and Ryan Patel stepped into the break room just then, hauling a stack of papers they'd pieced together from Jake's data overnight. "We printed his results and notes," Chloe said, dropping the bundle on the table. "But no one knows how he fixed it. Only Jake can explain this stuff." Ryan glanced at Jake, shaking his head. "I've never seen anyone sleep this hard. Should we call medical?" Sophie waved it off. "No need. He's just burned out. I don't want to blow this up. We've already pushed him too far." Ethan nodded. "Let him rest a bit more. Maybe he'll snap out of it before the meeting." But when the clock hit 8:50 a.m., Jake showed no signs of stirring. Sophie shook his shoulder again, harder. "Jake, get up! 10 minutes to the meeting!" Nothing. She tapped his cheek, voice sharp with urgency. "Jake, wake up now!" Still zilch. Ethan sighed. "It's no good, Sophie. I'll grab some cold water. Might work." He dashed to the vending machine, snagged a bottle, cracked it open, and splashed a little on Jake's hand. The chill made his fingers twitch faintly, but his eyes stayed shut. Sophie stepped back, hands on hips. "God damn it, what do we do now?" While Sophie and Ethan fumbled with Jake, the office outside started buzzing as engineers trickled in. Chatter filled the air, keyboards clacked, phones rang off the hook. The 9 a.m. meeting loomed large. The tech team had to pitch the self-driving update to the higher-ups, and Jake's emergency response system was the star. No one knew he was out cold in the break room, but the pressure of Elon Musk's weekend deadline hung over them all. Nervous glances darted around, hushed questions about the project's progress rippling through the room. Chloe and Ryan hustled back to the work area, scrambling to cobble Jake's files into a makeshift report. "I'm not sure we can explain this," Chloe said, pointing at a scrawled algorithm note from Jake. Ryan nodded. "Yeah, he wrote it like it's only for him to get." "We need him awake." They shot a look toward the break room, where Sophie and Ethan still hovered around Jake, tension etched on their faces. At 8:55 a.m., the office vibe shifted hard. The chatter died down, backs straightened, screens flipped from social media to code. Someone whispered, "Execs here?" Chloe checked her phone, eyes widening. "Not just execs, it's Elon. Elon Musk's hitting the tech floor right now, unannounced." Ryan spun around. "You kidding?" Today of all days. Sophie caught it from the break room, stepping out with a face gone white. "Elon, now, with Jake like this?" Ethan trailed her, voice tight with panic. "If he sees Jake passed out, we're toast." Sophie bolted to Jake's desk, snatching his laptop and papers, scrambling to prep something, anything for a pitch. "Ethan, help me haul this to the conference room. Chloe, Ryan, stay here and guard Jake. Don't let anyone in the break room." She rushed off, heart pounding, knowing full well that without Jake, it'd all fall apart. The office slipped into a quiet chaos. Desks cleared fast, people faked busyness, but every eye flicked toward the main entrance. Right at 9 a.m., the tech floor's double doors swung open, and Elon Musk strode in, flanked by two sharp-dressed senior managers in crisp suits. Elon rocked a plain black Tesla T, his piercing eyes scanning the room like a hawk. No smile, no small talk. He cut straight to it with a low voice and that faint signature accent. "I want the self-driving update's progress. How's the emergency obstacle response system coming?" His words rang clear, slicing through the thick tension, making everyone in the room damn near hold their breath. Sophie stood by the conference table, clutching Jake's laptop, forcing her voice steady. Mr. Musk, we finished the final test last night. Results look solid. Elon stopped, locking eyes with her. Solid how? I want data and the person running this show. Sophie swallowed hard, flicking a quick glance toward the break room. The data's right here, sir, she said, popping open the laptop and setting it down. We hit high accuracy in fog and heavy rain. Elon gave a curt nod, but his tone stayed icy. Good, but where's the lead? I want it straight from them. Ethan, standing beside Sophie, tried to steer things. Mr. Musk, we can give you an overview first. It's a complex system. We're seeing the data up front. But Elon cut him off, eyes razor sharp. I don't need an overview. I want details from the one who built it. Who's in charge of this? Sophie sucked in a breath, knowing the jig was up. That's Jake Carter, sir. But, she trailed off, and Elon's brow furrowed. But what? He's taking a breather, she mumbled, voice shrinking. Elon turned, surveying the office. A breather? Now? With me here? His tone wasn't angry, but thick with suspicion. One of the suits, Mr. Davidson, the tech director, stepped forward. Mr. Musk, maybe we should head to the meeting room for the report first. Elon waved him off. No. I want to see the guy. Take me to him. Sophie and Ethan swapped a panicked look, but didn't dare argue. Sophie led the way, her steps dragging toward the break room, heart hammering. She knew this moment could make or break them. They reached the break room door, and Sophie opened it with a trembling hand. Elon walked in, and the whole office held its breath as he stopped cold at the sight. Jake Carter sprawled unconscious on the couch, head against the wall, jacket draped over him, slow breaths echoing in the tiny space. The mess of energy drink cans and water bottle from last night still littered his desk outside. But here, in the break room, Jake looked like a soldier who'd fought a long war and lost. Elon stood still, his gaze sweeping over Jake, then turned to Sophie. This is the lead? Sophie nodded, voice shaky. Yes, sir. Jake Carter. He worked nonstop for 3 days to finish the system. He sent the results last night before this. Elon didn't speak right away, just studied Jake with an unreadable look. The managers behind him swapped nervous glances, while Ethan lingered by the door, fists clenched with tension. Outside, the office went dead quiet. No typing, no chatter, everyone straining to catch a sound from the break room. Elon edged closer, taking a longer look at Jake, then faced Sophie again. 3 days straight? And now he's like this? Sophie nodded. Yes, sir. We tried waking him, but he's completely out. Total burnout. Elon gave a slow nod, eyes still fixed on Jake. Does the system work? He asked. Yes, Sophie replied. The last test showed it dodging obstacles in fog like a champ. Elon didn't smile, didn't scowl, just stood there, silent for a stretch that felt suffocating to everyone watching. If Jake's epic grind has you on the edge of your seat, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more tales of grit and guts that'll keep you hooked. Elon Musk's sudden arrival and discovery of Jake Carter unconscious sent a jolt through everyone. No one could have guessed that the CEO, infamous for his brutal work ethic, would face a burned-out engineer collapsing right in his own office. Every eye locked on Elon, bracing for his reaction, a burst of anger, a sharp reprimand, or something wilder. But no one knew this moment would spark a turning point, not just for Jake, but for all of Tesla. At 9:05 a.m., as Elon Musk stood in the cramped break room of Tesla's Fremont, California office, staring at Jake sprawled out cold on the couch, the tech team held its breath. Jake lay there, head against the wall, Sophie Evans' jacket draped over him, his slow breaths the only sound in the quiet space. The mess of empty energy drink cans and a stray water bottle cluttering his desk outside stood as proof of his 72 sleepless hours. But here, in the break room, he looked like a soldier downed after a long fight. Elon didn't speak at first, his razor-sharp eyes scanning Jake before turning to Sophie, voice low and cool. 3 days non-stop? And now he's like this? Sophie nodded, clutching Jake's laptop tight, her voice trembling. Yes, Mr. Musk. Jake worked around the clock to finish the emergency obstacle response system. He sent the results last night before this. The air in the break room felt heavy as lead. Ethan Brooks stood by the door, hands jammed in his pockets, trying to play it cool but his eyes brimming with nerves. Two senior managers, Mr. Davidson and another suit in a crisp vest, hovered behind Elon, swapping tense glances. Outside, the office had gone silent. No typing, no chatter, everyone peering toward the break room, awaiting Elon's move. They all knew his rep, a hard-driving boss with tales of crashing on the factory floor and demanding 100-hour weeks. An engineer passing out right in front of him, especially the guy spearheading a key project, was a guaranteed ticket to a blowout or at least a harsh chew-out. Sophie swallowed hard, steeling herself for the worst. But Elon didn't lose it. He stepped closer to Jake, leaning down to study his pale face, then turned back to Sophie. "Does the system work?" She nodded quick. "Yes, sir." The final test showed it dodging obstacles in fog with high precision. "The data's here." She popped open the laptop on the small table, pulling up Jake's 11:45 p.m. simulation results. Elon gave a slow nod, his gaze lingering on Jake like he was weighing something deeper than her words. Then, to everyone's shock, he did the unthinkable. He dragged a folding chair over, sat down beside Jake, and motioned to Sophie. "Hand me the laptop." Sophie froze for a split second, then hustled to set it in front of Elon, opening Jake's data files and notes. The office outside went dead quiet, just Jake's faint breathing and the soft clack of Elon's typing breaking the stillness. He didn't glance at Sophie, Ethan, or the stiff suits behind him. His focus zeroed in on the screen, flicking through lines of code, simulation charts, and Jake's messy scribbles. His eyes darted fast, pausing now and then to dig into a section, nodding faintly like he was piecing it together in his head. After a few tense minutes, Elon spoke, voice low but calm. The way he handled sensor data in Fog's smart. Cut reaction lag to 0.3 seconds. Better than I figured. Sophie blinked, hardly believing her ears. "Yes, sir," she stammered, voice shaky. "Jake rewrote the algorithm to boost sensitivity. He worked nonstop for this." Elon nodded, scrolling on. "I see it. He optimized radar processing too. Dropped the load by 20% without losing accuracy. Not bad." Ethan stood by the door, jaw slightly slack with surprise. Mr. Davidson, the tech director, edged forward, voice hesitant. "Mr. Musk, we've got a production meeting at 9:30. Maybe move this to the conference room?" Elon waved him off without looking up. "Cancel it. I'm seeing this through." Davidson backed off, face paling, fumbling for his phone to text his assistant. Sophie and Ethan swapped stunned looks. Elon Musk, the guy with a packed schedule and a no-mercy work style, had just ditched a meeting to pore over code next to an unconscious engineer. It was beyond anything they'd imagined. Elon kept at it, nodding occasionally or muttering under his breath, too low for anyone to catch. He paused at one of Jake's notes. "Boost radar sensitivity within 10 meters. Safety over speed." He glanced at Sophie. "His idea?" "Yes," she said. "Jake said a slow reaction up close means crashes are inevitable. He wanted max safety." Elon nodded, a flicker of something thoughtful in his eyes. "Makes sense. Safety's everything here." After about 10 minutes, though it felt like an hour to the room, Elon shut the laptop, set it on the table, and stood. He gave Jake one more look, then turned to Sophie. "Good work. Damn good work. He cracked a problem the whole industry's been wrestling with. Reaction in low visibility." Sophie nodded, keeping her voice steady. "Thank you, sir." Jake's dedicated. He did it for... She hesitated, unsure if she should mention Daniel Hayes. Elon's brow ticked up. "For what?" Sophie took a breath. "For a friend. He lost him in a crash. Road obstacle. Jake wanted this to save others." Elon went quiet, his gaze softening just a hair, like her words hit a buried nerve. He nodded slowly. "I get it. Personal stakes make a difference." Then he faced the managers. "Who's running this team?" Davidson stepped up. "Me, sir." Elon's voice turned cold. 3 days straight to get this done, and you let him end up like this. That's not how you lead a crew." Davidson paled, stumbling. "Sir, I didn't know he was pulling that kind of stretch." Elon cut him off. "Save it. We'll talk later. He swung back to Sophie. When's he waking up? She shook her head. We don't know, sir. We've tried. He's totally wiped out. Elon nodded, then dropped a bombshell that floored them. Don't wake him. Let him sleep. Sophie blinked. Sir? I said let him sleep, Elon repeated, calm but firm. No room for pushback. He got the job done. Now he needs rest. Send me that data. I'll dig into it more. Ethan stood rigid, jaw dropping. Sophie fumbled. But sir, the meeting this morning? Elon waved it off. I've seen enough. His work speaks for itself. Email me the report. I want to see him when he's up. Not to chew him out, to thank him. He paused, eyeing Jake one last time. And tell him to rest, really rest when he wakes. That's an order. Elon turned and strode out of the break room, the two managers scrambling after him, faces a mix of confusion and dread. Sophie and Ethan stood rooted, speechless. Chloe and Ryan, posted outside the door, caught every word and spun to each other, eyes wide. Did he just say that? Chloe whispered. Let Jake sleep and thank him? Ryan nodded, hushed. I can't believe it. Elon Musk saying that? The office outside erupted in hushed buzz as Elon left. No one caught every word, but rumors flew. Elon saw Jake passed out and didn't flip. He sat there checking code next to him. Sophie stepped out from the break room, laptop in hand, voice quivering. I don't even know what just happened. Ethan trailed her, muttering, I thought we were screwed when he walked in. But he praised Jake? Elon Musk didn't blow up like everyone expected. Instead, he sat down, pored over Jake Carter's code, praised his work, and told them to let him sleep, a jaw-dropping reaction that left the whole team reeling. No one could have pictured the CEO, known for his hardcore grind, handling an engineer's collapse from exhaustion like this. But beneath that calm exterior lay something deeper, a story they didn't yet know. And this moment was just the spark for bigger changes at Tesla. At 9:15 a.m., when Elon Musk stepped out of the break room, leaving Jake sprawled unconscious on the couch in Tesla's Fremont office, the tech floor stayed locked in a tense freeze. Sophie Evans lingered by the small table inside, clutching Jake's laptop, her eyes still wide with disbelief. Ethan Brooks hovered near the door, hands in his pockets, muttering under his breath, I still can't believe he just did that. Chloe Harper and Ryan Patel, keeping watch outside, spun to each other with stunned looks. Chloe whispering, Elon Musk said to let Jake sleep and thanked him? What's going on? Ryan nodded, voice hushed. I thought he'd get canned on the spot. The office outside erupted in a low buzz as Elon and the two senior managers, Mr. Davidson and another suit, walked off. Rumors spread like wildfire. Elon saw Jake passed out and didn't flip. He sat there checking code right next to him. He said let him sleep. You believe that? Sophie emerged from the break room, setting the laptop on Jake's desk, her voice shaky. I don't even know what just happened. He praised Jake's work, then told us to let him rest. This isn't the Elon Musk we know. Ethan nodded, mumbling, I thought we were goners when he walked in. But he's different. Jake stayed out cold on the couch, oblivious to Elon's visit in the bombshell reaction that had the tech team floored. His breathing was steady, his pale face shadowed by deep circles, like he drained every ounce of himself to perfect the emergency obstacle response system. A system Elon had just lauded in front of everyone. But one big question hung in the air. Why? Why had Elon Musk, the guy famous for brutal work demands and sky-high expectations, taken this tack with an engineer who'd crashed from burnout? No one had an answer. Not yet. An hour later, at 10:15 a.m., Sophie got an email from Elon's assistant, short and to the point. Tech team meeting, 11 a.m., main conference room. Elon wants everyone there. Bring Jake Carter's data. She read it, spinning to Ethan, who was parked by Jake's desk. He wants the whole team. What now? Jake's still out. Ethan frowned. No clue. But if he wants Jake's data, we've got to prep. Chloe and Ryan can help pitch what he did. Sophie nodded, her eyes still uneasy. I'm just scared he'll flip his stance. That reaction earlier, it's too weird, not like him at all. Sophie waved Chloe and Ryan over, handing them Jake's files and laptop. Go through this data, get a quick rundown ready. I don't know what he's after, but we've got to be set. Chloe nodded, cracking open the laptop. I'll skim Jake's notes. He broke down the algorithm here. Boosted radar sensitivity for close range. We can swing it. Ryan added, but if he digs into details, only Jake's got the answers. Hope he doesn't go deep. Sophie sighed. Fingers crossed. I'll check on Jake one more time. She ducked into the break room, finding Jake unchanged, still sprawled out. She gave his shoulder a light shake. Jake, can you wake up? Elon wants the team at 11. Nothing. She sighed, tugging the jacket back over him, and stepped out. He's still down. We're on our own. Ethan nodded. Let's roll. Can't keep him waiting. By 11 a.m., the tech team, about 20 strong, crammed into the big conference room. Sophie, Ethan, Chloe, and Ryan sat near the head table, Jake's laptop front and center. The vibe was thick with tension, whispers bouncing around about Elon's morning drop-in and his oddball reaction. The door swung open, and Elon walked in solo. No managers trailing him. He wore his usual black Tesla tee, hands in pockets, eyes cutting through the room like a blade. He dropped into the chair at the table's head, voice low. I want the rundown on the emergency obstacle response system. Who's talking? Sophie stood, voice wobbling. Mr. Musk, Jake Carter led it, but he's not here right now. We'll cover for him. Elon nodded, not pressing about Jake. Go ahead, he said curtly. Sophie kicked off with Chloe and Ryan chiming in, laying out the data from Jake's laptop. Radar sensitivity up. 0.3-second fog response. 20% processing cut. Elon listened, nodding now and then, tossing out razor-sharp questions. How'd he handle rain noise? Does the sensitivity hike slow it down? Sophie fielded them with Jake's notes, but the team knew they were skimming the surface. Elon didn't call them out, just nodded. Solid. This is damn solid work. After about 20 minutes, as Sophie wrapped up, Elon raised a hand to halt her. He stood pacing to the big window overlooking the Fremont complex, silent for a beat. The room held its breath, no one daring to make a peep. Then he turned back, voice lower than usual. You all wondering why I didn't lose it when I saw your guy, Jake Carter, out cold this morning? Sophie blinked. Ethan froze. Chloe and Ryan swapped glances. No one answered, but the curiosity in their eyes was too loud to hide. Elon Musk went on, his gaze drifting far off. I lost an engineer once. His name was Alex Chen. It was years back, when I was building my first company, Zip 2. Alex was one of the best I ever worked with. Smart, dedicated, always ready to grind it out to get a project done. I pushed him, like I pushed everyone, like I pushed myself. 100 hours a week, sometimes more. I said it was the only way to win. He paused, his voice roughening. One night, after 3 days without sleep, Alex drove home. He nodded off at the wheel, slammed into a tree. Didn't make it. The room went dead silent. Sophie Evans felt her chest tighten. Ethan Brooks dropped his head. Chloe Harper and Ryan Patel froze in place. Elon stared out the window, voice sinking lower. I told myself it was an accident. Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with how I ran things. I buried that pain, kept driving people hard, built this image of a CEO who never sleeps, the one you read about. But when I saw Jake this morning, lying there, out cold after 72 hours straight, I didn't see a burned-out engineer. I saw Alex. I saw the mistake I'd made. He turned back, his eyes sweeping the team. Alex died because I pushed him too far. I don't want that happening again. Not here, not at Tesla. Jake did good work, damn good work, but the price he paid wasn't worth it. No one should pay that price. Sophie swallowed hard, her voice small. Sir, we didn't know. Elon cut her off. You didn't need to. I've never told this story wide, but I'm telling you now because I want to change how we work here. Elon stepped to the table, hands planted firm, voice steady. Tesla's building the future, electric cars, sustainable energy, self-driving tech. But we can't do it by killing ourselves. I was wrong to think grinding to death was the only way. Alex taught me that lesson, and Jake brought it back today. He looked at Sophie. When he wakes, tell him to see me. I want to thank him, not just for the work, but for giving me a shot to fix this. The team stayed mute, barely breathing. Elon pressed on. From now on, I want you working smarter, not just harder. I still expect top-notch results, but not like this. We're changing, starting with this crew. He paused, scanning the room. Anyone else pulling over 70 hours a week? Half the hands shot up, hesitant. Elon nodded. Stop it. Rest. I don't want another Alex. He turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving the team stunned. Sophie sank into her chair, hands trembling. What did he just say? Ethan muttered. Change the culture? Because of Jake? Chloe whispered. Alex Chen. I had no idea he carried that. Ryan nodded. And he wants to thank Jake. This is nuts. Elon spilling the beans about Alex Chen, a personal tragedy he'd kept under wraps for years, cracked open why he'd reacted so oddly that morning. That loss, paired with seeing Jake knocked out, lit a fire in him to overhaul Tesla's work culture. This wasn't just Jake's redemption. It was the dawn of a new Tesla, where innovation didn't mean burning out to the bone. When Jake Carter came to on the break room couch at Tesla's Fremont office, daylight had faded through the window, giving way to the orange glow of sunset. He blinked slow, his head foggy like he'd just crawled out of a long dream. A dull ache throbbed in his skull, his mouth was dry as hell, and his body felt pinned down by an invisible weight. He sat up, Sophie's jacket sliding off him to the floor, and glanced around, bleary-eyed. The wall clock read 5:30 p.m. He'd been out cold for nearly 18 hours since crashing into his chair at 11:45 p.m. After 72 relentless hours finishing the emergency obstacle response system, he rubbed his face trying to piece together what happened. But all he could grab was the memory of a water bottle rolling and his laptop glowing with the email to Sophie. The office outside hummed with steady typing and chatter, but the break room was eerily still. Jake stood, legs wobbly from exhaustion, and shuffled to the door. When he cracked it open, Ethan Brooks, parked at a nearby desk, spun around, eyes lighting up with surprise and relief. Jake, you're awake! Ethan jumped up, rushing over to steady him. You scared the crap out of me, man. You've been out almost a full day. Jake frowned, voice hoarse. A whole day? What about the 9 a.m. meeting? Did I miss it? Ethan chuckled dryly, clapping his shoulder. Miss it? You won't believe what went down. Before Jake could dig deeper, Sophie Evans popped out from the office corner, coffee in hand, her face brightening when she spotted him. Jake, thank God you're up, she said, hurrying over. How you feeling? You had us worried sick. Jake rubbed his head, voice faint. I'm okay, I guess. What happened? I remember sending the email, then Sophie cut in, a spark of excitement in her tone. Then you passed out. But that's not the half of it. Elon Musk showed up this morning, saw you in the break room, and you're not going to believe this? Jake blinked, brain scrambling to catch up. Elon Musk? Saw me? I'm done for, right? His pulse spiked, the dread of getting fired flooding his mind. Ethan shook his head, laughing. No, you've got it all wrong. He didn't fire you. He praised your work, sat there checking your code right beside you, and told us to let you sleep. Then he called the team in at 11, spilled about some engineer named Alex Chen. Guy died from overwork back at Zip 2. Said you reminded him of Alex and he wants to change how we roll here. Sophie nodded, jumping in, and he wants to see you when you're up, to thank you. Jake stood there stiff as a board, head spinning. Thank me? Change the culture? You guys pulling my leg? Sophie grinned. No joke. He's dead serious. Wants you at his office at 6 p.m. tonight. No idea what's up, but it's not to chew you out. Jake checked the clock. 5:35 p.m. 25 minutes to prep for a face-to-face with Elon Musk, the man he thought would end his career after catching him crashed out. He rubbed his face again, croaking, I need water. And coffee. Then you guys start from the top. Ethan bolted to the vending machine for a water bottle while Sophie handed over her coffee. Jake sank into his desk chair, gulping the cold water, the chill snapping him awake a bit. Ethan and Sophie laid it all out. Elon's surprise 9 a.m. drop-in, how he sat poring over code in the break room, the props he gave the emergency response system, and the 11 a.m. meeting where he opened up about Alex Chen, a burnout casualty that flipped his view on Tesla's grind. Jake listened, eyes widening, fingers tightening around the bottle. "I didn't see that coming," he said, voice low. "I just wanted the system to work. For Daniel. I didn't think it'd turn into this." Sophie Evans rested a hand on Jake Carter's shoulder. "You did more than that, Jake. You made Elon take a hard look at himself. Now you've got to meet him. Go clean up, change your shirt. You look like you just ran a marathon." Jake cracked a faint smile, the first flicker of relief he'd felt all day. He hauled himself up, legs still shaky, and shuffled to the bathroom to splash water on his face, swap into a clean shirt from his spare bag, and brace himself for an unreal sit-down with Elon Musk. At 6 p.m. sharp, Jake stood outside Elon's office on the management floor, hand trembling as he knocked. The door swung open, and there was Elon behind a sprawling desk littered with papers, Tesla car models, and a few computer screens. He glanced up, eyes sharp but not icy. "Jake Carter." "Good, you're awake. Sit." Jake sank into the chair across from him, heart pounding. "Mr. Musk, I'm sorry about this morning. I didn't mean to." Elon cut him off with a raised hand. "Don't apologize. I'm not here to chew you out. Your work, the emergency response system, is impressive. I checked the code. That fog solution? Didn't see it coming." Jake blinked, barely believing it. "Thank you, sir," he said, voice quivering. "I just wanted it to work. For a friend I lost in a crash." Elon nodded. "Sophie told me. Daniel, right?" "I get it. I lost someone too. Alex Chen. He died because I pushed him too hard. Seeing you this morning, I didn't want that mistake again." He paused, locking eyes with Jake. "I want you to help me change Tesla." Jake froze, unsure he'd heard right. "Change Tesla? What do you mean, sir?" Elon leaned forward, hands braced on the desk, voice firm. "This culture, working yourself to death, it's gone too far. I used to think it was the only way to win, but I was wrong. Alex showed me that, and you reminded me today. I want Tesla to work smarter, not just harder. I need you to lead a team to rethink how we operate, starting with your tech crew." Jake's head spun again. "But I'm just an engineer," he stammered. "I don't know squat about managing or changing culture." Elon smirked, a rare grin. "You don't need management chops. You know what burnout costs? You've lived it. That's what I need. Someone who gets it from the inside, not some textbook." He paused, eyeing Jake. "You in?" Jake went quiet, mind a tangled mess. 24 hours ago, he'd figured he'd be fired for passing out in front of Elon. Now the guy was asking him to spearhead a team to overhaul Tesla, a gig bigger than anything he'd ever dreamed up. He thought of Daniel, those 72 sleepless hours, the ache of watching the system fail in Sims. He thought of Alex Chen, the engineer Elon had just opened up about, a guy like him who'd pay the ultimate price for this brutal culture. "I need time to think," he said, voice low. Elon nodded. "Fair enough. Give me an answer by morning, but I'm betting on you." Jake left Elon's office at 6:30 p.m., head heavy. He trudged back to the tech floor, where Sophie, Ethan, Chloe, and Ryan waited. "How'd it go?" Ethan asked, pouncing. Jake dropped into a chair, spilling it. "He wants me to lead a team to change how we work. Because of Alex Chen. Because of me. I don't know what to do." Sophie grinned. "You serious? That's huge, Jake." Chloe nodded. "You've got this. You know burnout better than anyone." Ryan chimed in. "And he trusts you. Don't you see it?" Jake looked at his crew, gut churning. He wasn't sure he had the chops, but Elon's words about Alex Chen, about Daniel, and the vision of a different Tesla stuck with him. That night, he hit his apartment for the first time in 3 days, showered, crashed on his bed, and mulled it over. He replayed losing Daniel, the 72-hour grind, Elon's plea. "I want you to help me fix this." Next morning, he emailed Elon. "I'm in. Let's change Tesla, not just for cars, but for people." Elon shot back. "Good. Start today. Tech team's yours." Jake rolled into the office at 8 a.m., facing Sophie, Ethan, Chloe, and Ryan. I said yes, he told them. We're going to shake up how we work here, together. Sophie beamed. Hell yeah, we've got your back. Ethan slapped his shoulder. From conking out to changing Tesla. You're a legend. Jake nodded, sketching a plan. Cut nonstop hours, add breaks, prioritize results over time. He didn't know where this road would lead, but he knew it kicked off with those 72 brutal hours and a promise to Daniel that now stretched to all of Tesla. After Jake Carter fired off that yes email to Elon Musk the next morning, he walked into Tesla's Fremont office at 8 a.m., buzzing with a mix of excitement and pressure. Just 48 hours back, he'd blacked out on a break room chair after 72 sleepless hours, convinced his career was toast when Elon caught him. Now he stood before his tech team, Sophie Evans, Ethan Brooks, Chloe Harper, and Ryan Patel, with a wild mission: reshape Tesla's work culture, starting with their crew. He took a deep breath, facing his friends. I told him yes. We're changing how we roll here, not just for us, for the whole company. Sophie grinned, hand on his shoulder. Damn right, Jake. We're in. Ethan gave him a solid smack on the back. From crashing out to shaking up Tesla, you're a miracle, man. Jake Carter settled at his desk, flipped open his laptop, and started sketching out a plan. Elon Musk's words stuck with him. Work smarter, not just harder. He thought of Daniel Hayes, his best friend lost because a car couldn't dodge an obstacle, and Alex Chen, the engineer Elon had lost to burnout. He didn't want anyone at Tesla paying that kind of price again. First off, he said, turning to his team, we're cutting nonstop hours. No one's doing over 60 a week. We'll mandate breaks, 15 minutes every 4 hours, non-negotiable. Chloe Harper nodded. Makes sense. But how do we sell that? Everyone here is used to grinding themselves into the ground. Jake shot back. We'll prove it with results. If productivity climbs and bugs drop, they'll have to listen. Sophie Evans opened Jake's laptop, pulling up the emergency response system data. You pulled 72 hours and nailed it, but you nearly killed yourself. If we work fewer hours and still hit that quality, it's the best proof we've got. Ryan Patel chimed in. Agreed. But we need a real break space. Somewhere to chill, not just desks. Jake nodded. I'll pitch it to Elon. Proper break rooms, comfy chairs, quiet vibes. We start with our team, then roll it out company-wide. That afternoon, Jake fired off an email to Elon, listing ideas. Hour caps, mandatory breaks, break rooms in the office. He wrote, if we want smarter work, we've got to rethink team support. I suggest testing it with the tech crew first. Elon replied in 10 minutes flat. Approved. Start now. You've got budget and green light. Report back in 2 weeks. Jake read it, a mix of shock and resolve hitting him. He hadn't expected Elon to bite so fast, but he knew this was his shot to show it could work. That same day, Jake rallied the team to kick off the first changes. From now on, he said, no one pulls over 12 hours a day. Every 4 hours, 15-minute break. Mandatory. I'll keep tabs. Ethan Brooks grinned. You're turning into a tough boss, huh? Jake shrugged. Learned it from Sophie. Sophie nodded. Good, but we need a tight schedule. I'll split shifts so no one overlaps. Chloe and Ryan agreed, diving into rejigging tasks the new way. They settled on a week-long trial, tracking bugs and output to stack against the old grind. Next day, Jake hit up logistics, pushing for a break room in the tech area. He laid it out. Cushy couches, soft lighting, a coffee machine, a spot to unwind, not just hunch over desks. The logistics guy blinked. This is Tesla. Who's got time to chill? Jake countered, we will, and we'll work better for it. With Elon's budget, the break room went up in 3 days. A cozy nook with padded seats, a low table, and warm light. A stark shift from the office's cold hum. The tech team rolled out the new rules. At first it was rocky. Chloe griped. Breaking every 4 hours throws me off. Ryan echoed, I'm used to 10-hour sprints. Jake held firm. Give it a shot. If it flops, we'll pivot. Slowly they adjusted. Ethan noticed. I'm sharper after breaks. No more typos. Sophie agreed. Same here. My head's clearer. Jake crunched the numbers. After a week, bugs in the code dropped 15%, task speed ticked up slightly, despite hours shrinking from 80 to 60 per head. Jake shot the results to Elon. Week 1 trial, bugs down 15%, productivity up 5%. Break rooms keep us sharp. Elon fired back. Solid. Scale it to all of tech. I want bigger shifts. Jake called the team in right after. Elon's pushing it department-wide. We need a broader plan. Sophie pitched. More break rooms per floor. Official 60-hour cap. No exceptions. Chloe suggested, how about a guide, smart break tips so folks don't feel it's wasted time? Ryan added, and long-term data tracking to prove it sticks. Over the next 2 weeks, Jake teamed up with HR and logistics to spread the change. 5 break rooms popped up across the tech floors. Couches, soft lights, free coffee machines. The 60-hour cap went official, with an auto-time tracker flagging overages. Jake whipped up a quick guide. Take 15 every 4. Walk, hydrate, or sit tight. Clear head, better work. He blasted it to all 200-plus tech staff with a note. We're reshaping Tesla. Try it. Tell me how it lands. Results hit fast, faster than he'd guessed. In a month, department-wide bugs fell 25%, productivity climbed 10%, sick days crashed from 20 to 5 a week. Engineers turned break rooms into idea hubs, not just nap spots. One guy messaged Jake, caught 20 minutes yesterday, fixed a week-long bug. Thanks, man. Jake grinned, forwarding it to Elon. Month 1, bugs down 25%, output up 10%, sick days cut 75%. Break rooms are gold. Elon replied, impressive. Take it to production. I want Tesla transformed. Jake rallied the team that day. Elon's green-lighting the factory next. We need a bigger playbook. Sophie nodded. Production's different. Long shifts, non-stop machines. We'll need shorter, frequent breaks. Ethan threw in, and break rooms by the lines. No time wasted walking. Chloe said, let's measure it. Production errors, workplace accidents, to back it up. Ryan offered, I'll crunch the numbers. Jake pitched Elon the next step. Break rooms near assembly lines, 10-minute breaks every 3 hours, error tracking. Elon signed off that day, and the changes hit Fremont's factory. 2 months later, production bugs dropped 20%, accidents fell 30%, assembly speed rose 8%. Word spread fast. Tesla wasn't just building better cars, it was treating its people better. Engineers from Google and Apple started applying, lured by the new vibe. A news piece ran, Tesla's shift from burnout to balance. Quoting a worker, I do 50 hours and still feel creative as hell. Jake stood in that first break room he'd pitched, watching his crew laugh and sip coffee. He thought back to those 72 brutal hours, to Daniel, to Elon's tale of Alex. He never dreamed he, a guy who'd crashed out, would kick off this wave. Sophie sidled up, smiling. You did it, Jake. Tesla's a different beast because of you. Jake nodded. Not just me. We all did. He knew this was only the start, a new Tesla where output and humanity could coexist. 3 months after Jake Carter kicked off Tesla's work culture overhaul, the Fremont tech floor had a fresh face. Break rooms with plush couches and soft lighting sprouted on every level. Laughter replaced the constant strain, and a 60-hour weekly cap became the norm. Jake walked in at 8 a.m., coffee in hand from the break room machine, watching his teammates tackle their work with a clarity he hadn't seen before. Bugs in the code were down 25%, productivity up 10%, and the Fremont factory reported a 30% drop in accidents, numbers he hadn't dared hope for so soon. He sent Elon Musk weekly updates, usually getting a curt, "Good, keep it up." But today's email stood out. "Meet me at 9. Bring data. Let's talk." Jake plopped at his desk, opened his laptop, and double-checked the tech and factory stats. Pride mixed with nerves churned in his gut. The changes he'd sparked, sane hours, mandatory breaks, break rooms, had spread from his small crew to all of Tesla. But he wasn't sure what Elon made of it after 3 months. Was he genuinely sold or just testing the waters? He recalled Elon's story of Alex Chen, the engineer lost to burnout, and wondered if Elon was dead set on a full reset or just easing the heat for now. Sophie Evans swung by, catching his frown. "What's up, Jake? Elon summon you?" Jake nodded. 9 a.m. He wants to chat. Sophie grinned. "Don't sweat it. You've crushed it. Bet he's just gonna pat you on the back." Jake shrugged. "Here's hoping." At 9 sharp, Jake stood at Elon's management floor office, knocking with a steady hand. Elon sat behind his big desk, papers and Tesla models scattered around, screens flickering. He looked up as Jake stepped in, voice low. "Jake." He gestured to a chair. "Your data?" Jake set the laptop down, pulling up the report. "Yes, sir. 3 months since we started the shift. Bugs down 25% in tech, 20% in production. Productivity's up 10% and 8%. Sick days dropped 75%. Break rooms are everywhere now." Elon nodded, skimming the screen stats, his sharp eyes calm but focused. "Impressive," he said after a few minutes. "Didn't think it'd kick in this quick." Jake took a breath. "Thanks, sir. We just wanted to show fewer hours don't tank quality." Elon cracked a rare smirk. "You've proved it, but I didn't call you here just to say nice job." He stood, pacing to the window overlooking the Fremont sprawl, voice dropping. "I want to talk about this. Working smart, not just hard. Been chewing on it a lot since I saw you passed out 3 months back." Jake sat up straighter, all ears, unsure where Elon was steering this. Elon Musk turned back, hands braced on the desk. "You know how I built Tesla? 100 hours a week, crashing on the factory floor, pushing everyone to the edge, like I pushed Alex Chen. I thought that was the only way to win, to outpace the competition, to change the world. I was wrong." He paused, locking eyes with Jake Carter. "You went down after 72 hours, but the system you built outshines anything I've seen from my teams." It got me thinking, if you'd worked less, how much more could you have done? Jake blinked. "Sir, I just wanted it to work. For Daniel." "I didn't think beyond that." Elon nodded. "I know. Your Daniel, my Alex. They're why we're here. But Alex taught me burnout isn't strength. It's weakness. You showed me balance isn't soft. It's the bedrock of creativity and lasting success." Jake sat quiet, mulling it over. He remembered those 72 sleepless hours, the pounding headaches, his shaking hands on the keys, the feeling of death creeping in when he collapsed. He thought of Daniel, and now Alex through Elon's words. Two souls driving them, but in different ways. "I want you to push harder," Elon went on. "Not with hours, but with thinking. How do we keep Tesla innovating without killing our people? You've started it. Sane hours, break rooms. But I want a bigger vision." Jake nodded slowly. "What do you mean, sir?" Elon sat back, staring straight at him. "I want you to build a framework, not just for tech or production, but all of Tesla. What's working smart? How do we rest to spark more? Define it, and I'll back you to make it real." Jake felt the weight hit his shoulders, but a spark flared too. "I think working smart's about quality over quantity," he said. "Rest isn't quitting, it's recharging. Break rooms gave us fresh ideas. If we scale that, flexible hours, focusing on key tasks, creative spaces, we could boost output without breaking down." Elon nodded. "You're on it. I used to see rest as a waste. Alex paid for me not getting that. You proved me wrong." They hashed it out for another hour, Jake scribbling notes on his laptop. Elon shared about Zip too. "I slept under my desk, lived on fast food, didn't see daylight for weeks. Thought it was a badge of honor. But when Alex died, I saw how dumb that was." Jake opened up. "When Daniel went down, I swore I'd make cars safer. But those 72 hours, I nearly didn't make it. If I'd rested midway, maybe I'd have done better." Elon nodded. "Exactly. Rest isn't weak. It's strategy. I want you to teach Tesla that." The meeting wrapped at 10:30 a.m. Elon laying it out. "You've got a month to draft a plan. I want it company-wide. Tech, production, sales. Your data's the start. Turn it into a vision." Jake left the office, head spinning but fired up. He hit the tech floor, spilling it to Sophie Evans, Ethan Brooks, Chloe Harper, and Ryan Patel. Elon wants a bigger vision, he said. Smart work, not just breaks, but how we create. Sophie grinned. We've seen it work. Let's scale it. Ethan chuckled. You're rewriting Tesla, man. Over the next month, Jake and the crew hammered out a plan. He pitched flexible schedules, let folks pick their peak hours, prioritize big wins, focus on what matters, not everything, creative zones, open meeting spots for brainstorming, not just desks. He backed it with stats. 15-minute breaks every 4 hours boost efficiency 20%. Scale that and we'll innovate harder. Sophie tossed in, add a mandatory off-day monthly, recharge time. Chloe said, measure it, new ideas, patents, to show balance fuels creativity. Ryan offered, we'll test it in tech first, then report. They nailed the plan on time. Jake emailing Elon, smart work, flexibility, focus, creativity. Rest is the base. Tech trial for a month. Elon greenlit it. Go. I want results. A month later, the tech team reported, new ideas up 30%, patent filings up 15%, bugs still dropping. Elon called Jake. You're right. Balance is power. Roll it out Tesla-wide. Jake grinned. Thanks, sir. We'll make it happen. Jake stood in the break room, watching his team brainstorm on the couches. He thought back to those 72 brutal hours, to Daniel, to Elon's Alex story. Balance wasn't weakness. It was how Tesla would innovate and thrive long-term. This was a new vision, not just for Tesla, but for him. A year after Jake Carter blacked out in Tesla's Fremont office, he stood in that first break room he'd pushed for, watching his crew laugh and swap ideas on comfy couches. Soft wall lights cast a warm glow on their faces. No more deep bags or bleary stares like he'd once had. Tesla wasn't just the top dog in electric cars anymore. It was a poster child for a smarter way. Balanced, sustainable work. Bugs in the code were down 35%, productivity up 20%, patents up 25%, and job apps flooded in from around the globe like never before. Jake sipped his coffee, grinning as he recalled those 72 hellish hours, a moment he thought would tank his career, but instead kicked off a revolution in tech. That morning, Jake got an email from Elon Musk. You've done good. Meet me at 9. Next steps. He hit Elon's office with his laptop and the latest data. Elon sat behind his desk, screens flashing a wired piece. Tesla sparks a global balance wave in tech. He looked up. Seen this? You didn't just change Tesla. You shifted the whole game. Jake nodded. Yes, sir. Google, Apple, Intel, they're following. The worker crowd's all in too. Elon grunted. Good, but I want more. I want you talking to the world. Not just engineers, everyone. They need to get what balance means. Jake blinked. What do you mean, sir? Elon leaned on the desk. You told your story at Tech Summit, and it hit tech hard. Now I want it broader. For regular folks, not just geeks. What are they sacrificing to win? You know that cost. You lived it. I want you to spark them to shift. Jake went quiet, thinking. He pictured Daniel Hayes lost to a dumb crash. Alex Chen through Elon's words, those 72 hours that flattened him. I'll give it a shot, he said. But where do I start? Elon smirked. Just tell your story. They'll listen. Jake left at 9:30 a.m., head buzzing. He hit the tech floor, laying it out for Sophie, Ethan, Chloe, and Ryan. Elon wants me talking to the world, he said. Not just engineers, everyone. He wants them rethinking life and work. Sophie nodded. You've got this. You changed us. Changed Tesla. Now the world. Ethan laughed. From lights out to lighting fires, you're a legend. Chloe added, we'll help. Speech, video, what's your play? Jake said, video. Keep it real. Just me, telling it straight. A week later, Jake stood before a camera in the break room, the team rigging a cozy corner with a couch and warm light. In a Tesla tee, his voice wobbled at first but steadied. I'm Jake Carter, Tesla engineer. A year ago, I blacked out after 72 hours straight, finishing a self-driving system. For Daniel, my buddy lost in a crash. I thought killing yourself with work was the only way to win. I was wrong. Tesla flipped. We cut hours, took breaks, and we're better than ever. Bugs down, ideas up, and we're still kicking. So I ask you, what are you giving up to win? Health? Family? Time? Is it worth it? He paused, staring into the lens. You don't have to burn out to shine. I learned that from Daniel, from Alex Chen, another engineer Elon lost to the grind. Tesla changed because we wanted to live, not just work. You can too. Start small. Take 10 minutes after a few hours. Walk. Sleep. It won't slow you. It'll fuel you. We did it. You can too. The video closed with Jake's faint smile. Thanks for listening. Start today. It dropped on Tesla's channel the next day, blowing up fast. 10 million views in a week. Our balance works trending everywhere. Comments poured in. Took a 15-minute break today. First in 3 years. Thanks, Jake. Slept 8 hours last night. Feel brand new. A mom wrote, ditched late work to hang with my kid. You're right. It's worth it. Warmth spread through Jake as he read them. He hadn't figured his story would hit beyond tech. Office workers, teachers, truck drivers, all in. The global crowd went wild, beyond what he'd hoped. Japanese workers launched a Tesla rest day, one off a month to recharge. A UK firm opened a Jake's Corner break room. An Indian school taught kids balance using Jake's clip. Tesla's rivals, Google, Apple, Intel, amped up rest policies saying, inspired by Tesla, we're putting people first. An Apple engineer messaged Jake, you flipped the game. I sleep now. Thanks to you. 2 weeks later, Jake met Elon again, toting community feedback. Videos at 15 million views, he said. They're shifting. Not just tech, everyone. Elon nodded. Good. I knew you'd pull it off. It's what Alex and Daniel deserve to see. He paused. What's balance to you? Jake thought. To me, it's staying alive to do good work. I lost Daniel because no one stopped to think. I nearly lost myself to burnout. Balance is how we create without dying. Elon nodded. Spot on. I lost Alex because I didn't get it. You gave me a redo, and now you're giving the world one. He stood. Keep going. I want Tesla leading, not just cars, but living. Jake said, I will, sir. He left, hitting the tech floor to tell Sophie, Ethan, Chloe, and Ryan. Elon wants us to push on, he said. Not just Tesla, the world. Sophie grinned. You've done it, Jake. We're proud as hell. That night, Jake stood in the break room, watching his crew head home after 8 hours, not 12. He thought of those 72 brutal hours. Daniel, Elon's Alex tale. He checked his phone. A stranger's note. Skipped late work for family dinner. Thanks to you. He smiled, texting back. Thanks for shifting. Start small, don't stop. His message, and Tesla's, had spread wide beyond work into life. What are you sacrificing to win? Jake hoped everyone would ask and find their answer like he had. What do you think of Jake's story? Drop a comment below to let us know, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic tales that'll keep you coming back for more.